We completed Hilchos Purim and Megillah and all the other dinim that are connected. And I was thinking today to start Pesach. But before I do that, I said a drosha Shabbos, a Purim took a drosha. And there's a lot of people here that weren't here Shabbos. And thanks to Moshe, it goes around, our droshas go around. So I figure I'll repeat what I said Shabbos. Because people may want to talk about it by the Suda or Purim. So I spoke Shabbos. This year, Purim, which will be in Mitzvah this week, is the Shabbos before is Parshas Vayikra. And the name is Bochum Kula Yaiman. So what happens during the week has a kesher with the Shabbos before it. So what was the kesher between Parshas Vayikra and Megillas Esther? This is what I spoke about. I said, Parshas Vayikra, without going into the details of the Parsha, but basically it talks about kabbonos, all the different kabbonos, Shomim, Chatas, Oshim, Mincha, everything. In order to be Makav kabbonos, you have to have a Beis HaMikdash. There was a time when you were able to make a bomber. A bomber was a little box-like, or a stone or what, and on that you were Makav a kabbonos. But once there's a Beis HaMikdash, then you can't have a bomb anymore. So in order for us to have kabbonos bisman hazeh, we need a Beis HaMikdash. So the question is, what is the connection between the Beis HaMikdash and Megillas Esther? So I said, the building of the Beis HaMikdash started in Megillas Esther. Where do you find that it started in Megillas Esther? So I explained the following. There's a posuk at the end of the Megillah, which l'chayra doesn't have anything to do with the Ness of Purim. The last Perek in Megillas Esther, Perek Yud, starts by Yosem Amelch Achashverosh Mas Al Oretz V'Yayam. That Achashverosh made a tax. Al Oretz V'Yayam. What's that negaya? And if you look at the word Achashverosh, so it's spelled a little different than it's usually spelled. It's spelled without a vav, so machtas Achash and Rosh. So some say that people were angry at Achashverosh. Achash was like a nickname that they called him instead of Achashverosh. And Achash, by his nickname, Rosh, made us poor. Rosh is more than poor. Because by making a tax, you take away money from the people. But what's this negate to the next two psukim is about Mordechai and Esther, and with them ended to the Megillah. What happened over here? So some Mefarshim want to say that B'shas Achashverosh was looking for a wife, and he finally selected Esther. So he wanted to know who Esther is. Although Yida Esther is Amma Basmagadata, she didn't want to reveal. She never refused to tell. So state in the Megillah in the beginning state Va'anocha leMedinas Asa. What's Va'anocha leMedinas Asa? That he made it easier for the Medinas. In other words, he freed them from tax. That's the pshat over there. He freed them from tax. Why did he free them from tax? Because Achashverosh felt he got such a wonderful wife, he has to thank the people for which he comes from. The community, the nationality that produced her deserve to be thanked, but he doesn't know who they are. So what did he do? He went universal. He made everyone shouldn't have to pay a tax, and about everyone wouldn't have to pay a tax, but everyone will be happy. So between everyone, will be also Esther's people. Wie is aber at the end of the Megillah, when he found out who Esther was and who her people were, so he doesn't know any more tax anymore to the people. So Vayosam Melech Achashverosh Mas Ha'Oretz via Yam, he put back the taxes, and according to the Targum Sheni on Megillah Esther, he didn't put it on the Jews. Because the Jews, he had to thank Taka that they gave him Esther. But the whole people, it said over there that he freed the Jews and the people were all serving the Jewish people. As they shout in Megillah Esther. But the Chayra, what's this Negeya? What is it Negeya to the Nes Purim? Adarabah, that's ending like not on a good note. What you're ending on a note that the people were angry. Why was that put into Megillah Esther? So you have to understand what was the whole ness of Purim. The whole ness of Purim was the following. Achashverosh made a Suda. Why did he make a Suda? So it was the third year of his kingdom, and Mameli made a Suda. So the Gemara in Megillah says that the reason why he made a Suda was because he said as follows: the kings before me miscalculated the words of the Nevi'im. The Nevi'im, in Novi it says that after 70 years of the Golus or the Churban, after 70 years, the Eibishter will remember the Jewish people and he'll take them out of Golus. The question is how to calculate these 70 years. So he said, before him there was a king, Belshazzar. These are all people that took over after Nebuchadnezzar. And Belshazzar also made a Suda, because he figured that he's now the great king, and the Jews are remaining in Golus. And he took out the Kalim of the Beis HaMikdash, which he had B'Yerusha from Nebuchadnezzar, and he made a Suda, and it was Pesach, and it came a Malach and killed Belshazzar. So he said, Belshazzar made a mistake in calculating. I'm going to calculate a little different. And according to my calculation, today ends the 70 years, and therefore I'm going to celebrate my Melucha. So the whole celebration of the Melucha had to do with the Churban Bayis. The Eibishter has gewaltige ways how he could perform a nes for the Jewish people. So the Megillah Esther tells you the nes that the Eibishter did. The Eibishter said as listen, you Achashverosh, you can make a cheshbonos from Heimpus Morgan. But when the time comes, the Yidden will be out of Golus, and the Yidden will have a Beis HaMikdash. So listen what the Eibishter did. Heta Maisa. The Eibishter made that by this Suda, Achashverosh came up with a crazy idea, and he wants that his wife Vashti should appear before the people in an immodest way. She was a girl that came from a majestic family, and she refused to do it. So what did Achashverosh do? Achashverosh called together his advisors, and the advisor told him that being that she didn't listen to you, you have to kill her. Okay. When he became sober, he became nichter, so I need a queen. So they gave him an answer. You should look for woman and pick it worked very good. And who did he end up with? He ended up with Esther. Now, when he ended up with Esther, they were king and queen a number of years. And Esther had a child. from Achashverosh. The child's name was Dayavish. Dayavish became a king after Achashverosh. So now it became a king after Achashverosh. So goes the whole story now.
Was he also called Kadesh or?
No, Kadesh was before. Kadesh was before Achashverosh. In the time of Kadesh, they started rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash, and it was stopped. And that's why it says when Esther came to him, he said, "Ma ba'koshasecha chatzia malchus v'seyos." So according to some Mefarshim, chatzia malchus means the second half of the Beis Hamikdash, but it didn't happen. She didn't ask for it. It didn't happen. So what's the end of the story? The end of the story is that Vayasam Melech Achashverosh mas al orders. He put a tax. Now, question: what happened with the money? He collected a lot of money. Al orders v'liyayam. He collected a lot of money. Where did this money go? So, there's a Navi in the Ksuvim, the last Naviim. There's Ezra and Nehemiah. Ezra was the one who brought the people back from Babel to Eretz Yisrael and built the Beis Hamikdash. That would be May Ezra. When they had to continue building the Beis Hamikdash, they didn't have the funds that they needed. So they turned to Dayavish and they asked Dayavish to help them. It's in Ezra Kapitel Vav in Ezra. Ezra gave out a letter, a tzivur, a decree. He gave out a letter and he said that you should take money from the Nichsei Hamelech, from the storage of the king, where the king keeps his money. Rashi says, what money was it? Rashi in Ezra says that was mas, tax that was collected. In other words, that money ended up in the king's treasury, and Dayavish gave that money to build the Beis Hamikdash. So the gewaltigeness of Purim was that you, Achashverosh, who celebrated the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash and the end of the Jewish people, you became the fundraiser to build the next Beis Hamikdash. That's why that pasuk, Vayosamach Masal Oretz, is the climax of the story of Achashverosh, that Achashverosh, who celebrated the Churban Beis Hamikdash, he was the one who ended up being the one that was the fundraiser, the Meshulach, so to say, to raise the money in the Beis Hamikdash. And I was thinking maybe that they maybe had a plaque in the second Beis Hamikdash thanking Achashverosh for being such a genius of a fundraiser. Now, we have a call, we talk about Nisan, there's always the question, when should you lay in the Megillah? In the Shnasa Ibor, do you lay in the Megillah in the first month, or do you lay in the Megillah in the second month? This I didn't say Shabbos. Why do we feel Taka that we lay in the Megillah in the second month? In order to be Masmach Gula, the Gula of Purim to the Gula of Pesach, in order to be Masmach one to the other, that's why we wear the second month. In the Haggadah, we say as follows: V'hi she'omda l'avosenu v'lonu, she'lo yechad b'vad omad aleinu l'chalasenu, v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu miyodam. Right? So l'chayra, everything is over here very good, but there's one extra word. It should have been just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu, period. Shelo yechad b'vad omad aleinu l'chalasenu, and v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu. What's like Mitzuma Yodam? The Chiddush of the Haggadah is a gewaldik Chiddush. That when the Eibush has the Jewish people, how does he do it? Miyodam, through them. Through the ones that wanted to destroy the Yidden, through them the Eibush brings the Hatzalah to Klal Yisrael. And we go back to the beginning. Moshe became a king Parai that made a Gzeda Kalabena Yila the Eret HaShichu. Right? Why? Chas v'sholom, the end of the Jewish people. What was the end? The end was that Parai's daughter was the one that saved Moshe. And where did Moshe grow up? In the house of Parai. Parai raised the goyal of the Jewish people. So Parai wanted to destroy us, right? And Bakadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu mi Yodom, through Parai himself. Parai was the one that made possible that Matzilenu. Now we go to the story of Haman. Comes along an Achashverosh that he wanted to celebrate the destruction of the Jewish people, the end of the Jewish people. Bakadosh Baruch Hu Matzilenu mi Yodom, that he became the fundraiser to raise the money to build the Beis HaMikdash. So that's the Masmach Geula L'Geula. Okay. We'll start tomorrow. Hilchos